Hello everyone, welcome to the Burrow. I'm Canadian Ham. On this episode I'm going to be talking about the top 5 cards of Kaldheim and top 5 underrated cards. I also got a little surprise for you guys after that. But first, let's make some coffee. Delicious. So, now into my number 5 slot for my favorite cards. I'm going to be talking about Rise of the Dread Marn. Got the card right here. 2 and a black for an instant. Create X/2/2 black Berserker zombie creature tokens, where X is the number of creatures that died this turn. It also has Foretell for 1. Now, this card might seem a little underwhelming, but personally, the fact that you can hold this up, you can cast it have it ready for the Foretell, 1 mana, and it's kind of protection from board wipes. There's not too many cards out there, except in white, that allow you to protect from board wipes. Everyone gets wiped out. You at least maybe get 6-7 zombie tokens. It's not bad. It also combos really well with Nevinral, the legendary creature from Commander Legends. His ability allows you to create X/2/2 zombie creature tokens, where X is the amount of creatures that died this turn. So combined, if you have that ready for Foretell, I know I mentioned this in the last video, have that ready for 1 mana, cast him in after a board wipe. It seems pretty good. You can double up on your X, like 2/2 zombies. You can pretty well swarm the board. So it made number 5 slot for me. Now, onto my number 5 slot for the most, and cards that are going to go under the radar, is Fynn the Fangbearer. I think this card is just nuts. Wizards has found a way to bring back Infect without actually putting Infect on creatures. Instead, they made now Death Touch creatures have Infect. In a manner of speaking, I personally think that this card will see lots of play. People aren't talking about it enough, and I think it's going to be kind of annoying in a lot of decks, especially Death Touch Tribal. But even just to have a few 1-drop Death Touch creatures 1/1, you could sneak away a game win with this guy in play. Now to my number 4 slot for my top 5. Maskwood Nexus. This card is great. I'm currently trying to build a Goblin Tribal deck using Grumgully, but for any tribal deck really, I think that this card is going to see a lot of play in them. Any utility creatures you have, mana ramp creatures that might not fit in the actual tribal aspect of it, just now makes them part of it. I think it's fantastic ability, especially for a static ability. Now, generating a 2/2 token Changeling, that's even better, I think. That's just gravy. Just due to the fact that if your strategy focuses around the number of tribal creatures out, for the one that comes to mind for me is Kranko. You could have utility creatures out that may not be actual goblins. Well, now those utility creatures are now goblins, and now you're creating 2/2 goblins and then you tap Kranko, and it's just bonkers. I personally really like this card. Some might not agree with me, but I think it's going to see quite a bit of play. On to my underrated card, number 4. Masked Vandal. It might seem not as powerful as one might think, but in a Golgari deck, graveyard play, Abzan even, for 2 mana, you can exile an artifact or enchantment, plus get a little body onto the battlefield. I think that's pretty good. Mind you, you do have to exile a creature from a graveyard, but it's a pretty small downside, especially if it's something small. Caustic Caterpillar, let's say you've used it already. Bring this guy in, you get to exile something else. I think it's a pretty good payoff, and I haven't heard a lot of people talk about this card at all. I personally find it quite good. Now, for my number 3 of my top 5, and everybody's probably heard about this card. It's been all over the net from what I can tell. Mystic Reflections. This card is fantastic. The things that the shenanigans you'll be able to get up to, the comboing, I haven't seen too much gameplay with it yet, but I can only imagine what everybody is brewing with. It's only been out now for, pre-release was a little over a week. Yesterday was the full release date. I can only imagine what people are going to brew with this. First thing that came to mind for me was, Elder Varragoth. Have an Elder Varragoth out if you have a late game mana dork. It also has Foretell for 1 mana, which is just ridiculous. Cast it for Foretell, you have it sitting off to the side. You can't interact with it. That's what I love about this Foretell mechanic. You can't interact with it at all. It just sits there. You get something big out that isn't a legendary creature. You have something small in your hand that's only really relevant for the beginning of the game. Like Llanowar Elves, Fyndhorn Elves, anything small even. And you slap that down, all of a sudden now you got a copy of this massive creature. It's just bonkers. I'm surprised they actually made a card like this, and let alone put it at 2 mana or 1 Foretell. I just think it's just crazy. Now into my number 3 underrated. Maja, Bretagard Protector. Now, this card is not as powerful as some of them that I'm going to be talking about, but I think that this card will fit into any token generating deck that is definitely in Selesnya colors. The fact that it does buff all your creatures, and it does also create a token with no extra charge every turn. It's just good. It's a good solid card. It's 5 mana, yes, but it's not quite enough to waste a removal spell on, especially when you will probably most likely have other effects going on. This is just a nice little, it's a good card. It can sneak under the radar. People might not interact with it very quickly, and it'll just generate you some value over a few turns. I think it's a great card, and really for warrior, even Najeela decks, you just start pumping it out, and they buff your warriors yet again even more. Actually, this would be a great card in a Najeela deck. So I think that I haven't heard very many people talk about it. I think this is an important card for token generating decks. Now, on to my number 2 for top 5 favorites is Varragoth, the Bloodsky Sire. This card, a 2/3 body for 3 mana and Death Touch, is already a pretty good value. It's not the best, but it's not bad. But the Boast ability. Now, Boast is a mechanic. It's new to the set. When this creature attacks, you pay the Boast cost, and an effect happens. With this demon, you get to tutor. It's bonkers. And early in the game, turn 4, most opponents won't have anything that they would really want to block. They might have a few tokens, possibly, but you get to choose which opponent you're attacking. So out of your 3 opponents that you're playing in a standard game, you choose the one that has even 1 blocker. Most people won't want to lose their only blocker, especially to a 2/3 Death Touch. So chances are, by turn 4, you're going to be able to tutor up something. Now, combining this with Bergie, the fact that it allows you to tutor up or boast an additional time every turn. On turn 5, you pay 4 mana when this thing swings in. Like I said, you choose the opponent that doesn't have any blockers. You get to tutor up 2 things. That's bonkers. Like, you find your exact answer you need and you're off to the races. I was excited when I pulled this card. It's fantastic. That's all I gotta say. I think it's completely fantastic. Now, on to my number 2 for underrated cards is Ravenform. 2 and a blue for a sorcery card. You exile target artifact or creature. Its controller creates a 1/1 blue bird creature token. Now, yet again, it has Foretell for 1 mana. Put this down, have it off to the side, just waiting. It reminds me of Beast Within, Generous Gift, even Chaos Warp for that matter. People love those cards. They're typically in high demand later on. Now, mind you, this is not an instant, and most of those spells can target any permanent. You're kind of limited to 2 different types of permanents, but for blue, you can remove their strongest creature against green or black or anything. You just remove it and give them a 1/1 bird. And if you're in blue, chances are you're going to have a flyer out there that can block that bird. I just think this is a fantastic removal spell that later on, it's going to be sought after. A lot of people are going to want this card, especially for blue. I just can't get over that blue now has this effect. Now, on to my number 1. It's a great card. Esika, God of the Tree. 1 and 2 green for a 1/4 legendary god creature with vigilance. You can tap it to add a mana of any color. Also, static ability is other legendary creatures you control can tap to add a mana of any color. Now, this is okay. I don't mind this card, but it's not why I chose it. It has a backside. It's one of these modal cards. The backside is the Prismatic Bridge. This is bonkers. Uberg, at the beginning of your upkeep, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a creature or planeswalker card. Put that onto the battlefield and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. This is great. First of all, it's the first time you're able to have an enchantment in the command zone. Just sitting there, waiting. You mana ramp in, crank it out, and it's... I think it is broken. Golos, Sisse, Weatherlight Captain. Any Uber commander is going to love this card, whether it's in the 99 or even if you have those commanders in the 99 and you just have the Prismatic Bridge on the side. I don't think I would ever use it as a commander personally, but just having this as a utility card, if you need more mana ramp, great. But chances are that Prismatic Bridge, you're just going to start dumping things onto the battlefield in no time. I'm excited about it. So, now, on to my number 1 underrated card that I haven't heard anyone talk about at all. Despite it being a rare, it's the World's Tree. This art is gorgeous. The fact that you can tap to add a green, comes in tapped, okay, but if you control 6 or more lands, all your lands tap for any color. This works well with the Prismatic Bridge. Golos, any Uberg deck, yet again, you can just tap it. Even it's proper mana fixing, but then you can pay Uberg and Uberg. So 10 mana, yes, but you find every god in your deck and put it onto the battlefield. That's nuts. You can finally make a god deck combine Theros with Kaldheim, and you got tons and tons and tons of cards. Now, albeit it's a little bit trickier to go there, but I would love to see somebody build a complete god deck. With this set combined with Theros and Journey into Nyx and all that, we now have access to over 20 God cards that we can finally make a solid deck with. Using Prismatic Bridge, it's great. Using the World Tree, it just helps you get there, and it's a game finisher. And it's a land, so you can't even interact with it very well. It's hard to remove, and if somebody wants to waste a removal on the land, well, it's not that overwhelming that people are gonna, your whole deck is gonna fall apart because of it. It's just a solid card. So I'm very happy with it, and maybe stick around. Maybe one of these days I'll do a deck tech and I'll make a God deck for everyone. But those are my top 5 favorite picks and top 5 most underwhelmed cards. I'll give a little list in the description, just so if anybody wishes to click on them and look into them further, it's there. But now, we're going to open up some packs. I got a collector booster, and shout out to Paradise Games. Threw me a pre-release kit. Awesome guys, awesome business. If you're ever up in the North Vancouver Island area, stop in, say hello. I'll leave a link to their website in the description. Great customer service. I love it in there. It's my favorite place. And guys, always remember, support your LGS. But let's get cracking. Kaboom. Like I said, I want to thank Paradise Games for hooking me up with this. It's fantastic that they are being so supportive of me. And remember guys, I know I just said it, support your LGS. It's important to have these shops around. But let's get cracking. I'll save that collector booster for after. See, natural 20. No, 3. Far off from it. If anybody wants it, gone. Okay. Let's see. Maybe we'll get a Vorinclex. Maybe we won't. We'll find out. Yeah, these packs are sometimes hard to open. Story Seeker, Undersea Invader, There's Carve, Squash. So, is anybody building any decks around Kaldheim right now? Oh, that was funky. Farspire, Arcanist, and Glorious Protector. Oh, I actually don't have this card. I've heard a lot about it. It's great for Flicker. Any Flicker deck, Brago, it's fantastic. Flash, you can flash it in at the end of someone's turn. It's a great card. And Cole Forge Master. Oh. Maybe I'll get the World Tree. Who knows? Who knows what might be lurking within the packs. There we go. Another changeling. Fynn the fangbearer. Fearless liberator. And Yorn, God of Winter. Not bad. He was going to be in my honorable mentions, but pretty fantastic card. And Spectral Steel. And the Raiders Carve. Behold the multiverse. I'm surprised they don't have very many bear creatures in this set. I know they got the one spirit, but Allies. Trickster's God Heist. This is another quite good card. Bag of the Watcher. Now, when in the last video I talked about my top hopes for theme-wise, I mentioned the Great Eagle. Their interpretation is is an owl, so it was nice to see. Crippling Fear. Choose creature type. Creatures of the chosen type get -3, -3. All right. Overall, I am actually quite impressed with how accurate and how true they stood to Viking mythology. I pretty much pulled almost every single thing I talked about. The only thing I didn't pull is actually the Great Tree. But later learning it is an actual card, so I was quite pleased with that. Valkyrie Sword, nice. Crush the Weak. Sustenance. Tyrite Sanctum. It's an interesting mechanic. It's not the best land, but it's definitely interesting. Come on. Give me something good. I actually don't have this guy. Sweet. Wizard Brawl. I still love the art on these lands. I really do. Reflections of Litjara. Iron Verdict. Okay. On the last pack. I'll look at the promo card. And we got a collector booster open, which I'm pretty excited about. Seize the Spoils, Battlefield Raptor, Berg Strider, Craven Hulk, Snakeskin Veil, Wither Crown, Shackles of Treachery, Elderleaf Mentor. There's that Ravenform. Fantastic card. Loudest truck in history pulling by. I don't know if you guys could hear that. 3 seasons. Woo! Another Mystic Reflections. That's a welcomed card. I'm totally okay with that pull. And should I open it before I reveal it? Yeah. Let's do it that way. Let's do it that way, guys. packages. I don't want to damage the card. But I think I'm going to, trying to get out of this packaging. There we go. Okay. See, we got Blessing of Frost. Distribute X while one counters among any number of creatures you control, where X is the amount of snow cast to the spell. Draw a card for each creature with power 4 or greater. It's not bad. Not the greatest, but it's not bad. Still. Okay. What are we hoping for in here? Well, Phyrexian Vorinclex, obviously, but you never know. It only takes one pack. I love foils. Revitalize. Roots of Wisdom. With a Crown. Run Amok. Mistwalker. Assault Ravager. I'm happy that the foiling, they fixed the foiling from Commander Legends. I was really disappointed. It was just mudded and ooh, got some foil snowlands. That's very welcomed. Cosmic Intervention. A permanent you control would be put in a graveyard from the battlefield this turn. Exile instead. Return to the battlefield in its own control at the beginning of the next end step. Nevinral. I swear. It's a great card. Maskwood Nexus. Nice. Full art. Very welcomed. Calamity Bearer. Giant Berserker. If a giant source you control would deal damage to a permanent or a player, it deals double that damage to a permanent player instead. That's fantastic as well. Maja, Bretagard Protector. Alternate art. Bjorn, God of Winter. Got another one. Nefari, Betrayer of Kings. And we got Crippling Fear. Alright. Well, overall, I'm pretty happy with everything. Thanks again to Paradise Games. And yeah, come on back next week, guys. Coffee's always hot. There's always a comfy chair for you to join in. And I'm going to be switching it up as well. I got something interesting to unveil with you guys. So join me next week. You can also follow me on Instagram now at CanadiansHam. So follow me along there. I got lots of miniatures and pictures of like that. But yeah, until next time, guys. Have a gooder.